Hey everyone, welcome to another video here on Keep Running with BK. And this morning I finished my 80-20 training block with a half marathon. And if you've been following on the channel, you knew that was coming. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about how that went. So stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this. So hey everyone, welcome back to another video here on Keep Running with BK. As I mentioned in the introduction, I finished up my 80-20 training block for this fall, and I ran my half marathon this morning, and I was going to talk about that today in the video. So right now I'm out walking in the neighborhood for two reasons. Well, actually three reasons. One, my legs are pretty sore, and so I really wanted to get out here, go for a walk, kind of loosen up a little bit, work out some of the lactic acid. But two, I wanted to give you a sense and feel of what time of year it is. It's definitely gotten cooler, which is great. Fall is my favorite time of the year, and it's also been very wet, so you might get a sense here. Gray skies. It's been raining on and off all week, and I had originally intended to have my friend Mike, who did some filming for me, yeah, I guess it's filming, recording with the GoPro here, my half marathon, like he did back in April. But with the pretty terrible weather we've had, I decided not to do that and just did it myself. So I don't have any video footage of the actual run itself. And then lastly, the third reason is I wanted to get out here and show you just some of the changing colors here in the neighborhood, which is why I love this time of year. And these colors unfortunately just kind of come and go very quickly, and once they hit their most vibrant color of red every year, it seems like within 2 days they're all gone. So I wanted to catch some of that on the video here, so enjoy as we go along and as we talk. So if it was a brighter day today with more sunshine, I'm guessing that these colors would probably be a little bit more vibrant. But like I said, it's been raining on and off all day today, and it rained overnight, and so we've kind of got a muted light coming through the gray clouds overhead, and I'm hoping that it doesn't rain again on me as I walk and share with you. And hopefully you do get a sense of some of the colors. Again, we're probably another week away from the real vibrant bright colors that we usually get. But nonetheless, you'll get out and you'll get to see some of it. It's awfully beautiful out here this time of year. So this morning I actually got up from a fairly decent night of sleep, which is good because I haven't slept all that great this week. And because of the time of year it is, it stays darker longer. And so I was like, I'm ready to go, but it was really too dark. And I had planned on running my half marathon down at the bike trail, which is an old railway that's been converted to a bike trail. So the rail to trail system, if you're familiar with that. And running in the dark on that trail in the section that I knew I was going to be running in, I've run it enough times over the past 20 years that I know there are stray walnuts and tree fall and things like that on the trail. I didn't want to roll an ankle in the dark. So eventually I got antsy enough. I just jumped in the car, drove down to the trail. I sat in the car until I started to see a little bit of daylight. And then I got out, went for a short walk, did some light jogging just to kind of loosen up, shake things out, did some dynamic stretching. And by then it was time to go. I had enough daylight where I could see the trail, see my footing. And since I didn't know if the rain was going to hold out, and at the time it wasn't raining, I figured it was go time. So my A goal was to run 20 to 30 seconds faster per mile average pace than I did back in April. So back in April, I ran a 7:55 pace for a time of 1 hour, 43 minutes, and 43 seconds. So at that time, I just felt like, I had something left in me and left in the tank, and with some more training, I could do better than that. So I kind of set that goal of 20 to 30 seconds per mile faster. My B goal was just to beat my time from April. So I got off to a great start. I felt confident going in physically just because I know that my 80-20 training block went really well. I did 8 weeks. I did 12 weeks in April. And I felt pretty good going into it physically, as I said, but mentally and psychologically, I think I shared in my last video, I had some reservations or just wrestling with that. I've had a lot of things going on with work and things going on with people close to me, and just a lot of distractions, and I think that has affected my focus a little bit, has affected my training a little bit. I had an unexpected vacation come up, so I didn't get the greatest quality of training 2 weeks ago. But I felt really strong this morning and very smooth. In fact, I'll share with you, my first mile was my fastest mile split for the entire half marathon, and that's a bit surprising to me on one hand, but it's also probably an indicator of how things went. It's never good when you're doing a distance race and your first mile, I'm talking about like 10-miler, half marathon, or even an ultra marathon. If your first mile split is your fastest mile of the race, you're in trouble and you went out too fast. I know that. So what I didn't know at the time was that was going to be my fastest mile split. It was a little bit faster than I wanted to go out in my head. And so I was wrestling with, does this mean that I'm rested and in better fitness than I thought, and things are going to go exceed my expectations? Most likely not. That was hopeful thinking. Or have I gone out too fast? I need to slow down, which is kind of where I felt things were going. So I decided to pull back a little bit, and it was a good thing that I did. I think I slowed down another 10-15 seconds per mile. So my first mile split was 7:36. My second mile was 7:42. And then my third mile is when I realized, okay, now I'm settling into that feel of where I think I should be. I wanted to, based on my training, I kind of knew how I should feel at the pace that I wanted to run the majority of this half marathon. It's where I felt I could kind of relax, kind of stay in cruise mode, and feel very comfortable about also finishing strong. And I realized, especially after I started thinking about that first mile and into my second mile, as I was trying to find that feel, is that I was not settled. I was not relaxed. I was panicking, in a sense, not a historical panic, but mentally I was not calm. I was not at peace because I was figuring out what's going on. Am I going out too fast? Can I maintain this pace? How do I adjust? Did I shipwreck my plan? All those thoughts start creeping into your head, and this is where years of experience and training and all these things should train your mental preparation as well as your physical preparation, because you need to get those types of thoughts, which creep in from time to time, under control, so that they don't shipwreck your race or start to work against you because you kind of spiral out of control with mental negativity and bad thinking. So I did settle into that 7:52 pace. That was obviously slower than what I had hoped for or wanted or needed for my A goal. But I felt comfortable. If I could comfortably run at that, then my B goal was easily obtainable. And as I look at my splits, when I third mile was at 7:52, then I went 7:53. 7:53, 7:51. And so that got me to the turnaround point on the route that I was running. So I had kind of settled in, locked in on the feel, locked in on the pace, and I was feeling pretty good about things. On the way back, I realized that I had made a mental mistake. So that mental mistake was this. I intended an out and back on the bike trail. When I did this back in April, I went the opposite direction that I was going now. I just wanted to change the scenery. I didn't want to have flashbacks to how I was feeling in that race. I wanted this to kind of be a fresh look, a fresh feel as I was going into this. And as I looked at the terrain, I noticed that this was, generally speaking, a flatter course than what I did in April. Probably not even noticeable to the average person, but when you're on tired legs, you notice the slightest changes. When you've run the amount of miles on this bike trail that I have, you notice the slight everything. The direction I went in April was actually a long gradual downhill for the first half, and then a gradual uphill on the way back. This direction, it does have some gradual up and down type stuff, but it is a flatter stretch. And what happened at the turnaround is I turned around at 6.05 miles. I knew I needed to go to a certain mile and then 5/10 or a 0.05, whatever that is, and then turn around so that I finish right back where I started at 13.1. But in order to do that, I need to go to 6.55 miles, not 6.05 miles. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I wanted to make the turn so psychologically I could convince myself that I'm feeling comfortable, I'm feeling relaxed, I'm in cruise mode, and now I'm on my way back. And I think recognizing the mistake I had made probably factored in part, because as I look at my splits, my next 2 miles were 8:07 and 8:03. So I actually went up over the 8-minute mile mark. And when I did this back in April, I didn't go over 8 minutes until mile 10 and 11. And here I had done it in mile 7 and 8. And I think those thoughts where I would start panicking started creeping back in again. So if there was a point in the actual, I guess I'm calling it a race. It wasn't an official race with other people, obviously. It was just a self-supported, self-driven time trial of sorts, but I'll refer to it generically as a half marathon race. This is where those thoughts started creeping in again, and I think mentally things started to unravel. And this is when I started to notice my legs were starting to get tired. I was starting to tie up a little bit. My hamstring was starting to ache on the one side, and that sort of thing. And I started letting that stuff creep back in and starting to affect me. And so I had to, again, go to that mental place to start blocking this out and staying focused, staying relaxed, going through my form, going through those mental checks that I tend to do to make sure that I'm relaxing and not wasting energy. And it also helps me just kind of zone out a little bit so I can just stay focused, which really helped, because then I think my pace dropped down below 8 minutes again. I ran 7:54, and then I went up to 8:09, and that's when I think I really started to wonder if I could even reach my B goal, because I know when I ran back in April, all of my splits were they were in that 750 range, I believe, for the first 10 miles. Basically, I hit that 8 minutes something in mile 10 and 11, and I had to dig deep to try to get it back down below 8. But those were my only 2 miles there, and this was my 3rd mile with an 8 something split, which was not good. I then got it down to 7:54, and I knew I needed to dig deep. I needed to give it everything I had. Surprisingly, I felt relaxed. I really felt that I was stronger. My endurance was better. I was much more comfortable than when I was in April, it was definitely cooler. And so I was really struggling as I was thinking about this. I got to stay focused, push as hard as I can. I don't feel like I'm hurting or suffering yet, and so maybe it's now time to suffer, to really try to pick up the pace to beat that B goal. But I was baffled because I didn't understand what was going on compared to what I recall from April. I managed to get down just under 8 with a 7:59, and at that point I thought for sure that I had blown it, that I didn't even reach my B goal. And long story short, as I wrap up here, it was very exciting for me to learn, in a sense, all things considered, that I actually beat my time from April by 20 seconds. So slightly more than 1 second per mile better than what I did in April. Not what I had hoped, not what, perhaps my hopes and my A goal was a little ambitious back in the fall. But as I looked at the details too, my pace was better, but my average heart rate was, back in April, was 161 beats per minute for a pace of 7:55 average pace, and this time it was 168 with an average pace of 7:53. So I was about 6 beats per minute. That's what, one beat per 10 seconds higher on average this time than I was last time. I can tell you from what I recall and what I felt this morning, that's not how it felt, but that is what the numbers show. I don't really have a whole lot of explanations for it, but needless to say, I set a new PR for this age group, my personal best in this new age group, so I'm going to go with that and celebrate that and be excited about that. And wanted to share with you guys the updates of how this went. I apologize if that was a little long-winded, but you know how it is. I like to share details, and some of us runners, we like those kind of details and context, so we can kind of experience this together. So with that, I just want to say thanks for checking out the channel and following along in this latest training block. And until next time, stay safe, train smart, and keep running.